Ayushi Gandhi, and today we are going to talk about solid waste management. Now, what are the topics we are going to cover in solid waste management? So, we are going to cover definition and important terms, types and sources of solid waste, generation rate of solid waste, cause of solid waste pollution, what are the effects of solid waste pollution, solid waste management. These all topics we are going to cover in this chapter. Now, what is solid waste? What you can consider as solid waste? So there are different types of solid waste which we see in our surrounding. First one is garbage, second one is rubbish, third one is ashes, fourth one is putrefaction, and fifth one is leachate. So there are 5 types of solid waste which we generally see in our surrounding. Now, what do you mean by garbage? What do you mean by rubbish? What do you mean by ashes? What do you mean by putrefaction? What do you mean by leachate? What is the difference between this all 5 types of solid waste? Now, first, garbage means all type of putrescible organic waste obtained from kitchen, hotels, restaurants in form of waste food is known as garbage. So, any kind of organic waste is known as garbage, especially food waste is known as garbage. It also includes animal dung, grass and leaves. Now, what do you mean by rubbish? So, rubbish itself means something which is useless. So, all non-putrescible waste except ashes are known as rubbish. For example, what do you mean by putrescible? The waste which can be used again. Rubbish is a waste which cannot be used again. For example, pieces of glass, broken bottle, plastic, paper, packets, these all waste are known as rubbish waste. Now, what is ashes? So, ashes are incombustible waste products obtained from industries, hearth and furnaces. So, when there is incomplete combustion of any carbon containing material, then ashes are formed. So, that kind of waste is also known as solid waste. Putrefaction. Microbial decomposition of organic matter accompanied by odor is called as putrefaction. So whenever any organic matter starts decomposing and it starts generating bad odor, then it is known as putrefaction. Now, what is leachate? So liquid that has traveled through solid waste or other medium and has extracted, dissolved or suspended materials from it is called leachate. So leachate is when solid waste is combined with water, then it is known as leachate. Now, there are different types of waste we are generating in our surrounding. So first kind of waste is known as municipal waste. Second is industrial waste. So what do you mean by municipal waste? So municipal waste are the waste generated from house, restaurants, institutions, market, streets. The waste generated from all these places is known as municipal waste. Now, what is industrial waste? So, industrial waste are the waste which arises from industrial activities or industries. It typically includes ashes, rubbishes, demolition and construction waste, special waste and hazardous waste. So, what is hazardous waste? So, hazardous waste possesses substantial danger immediately over a period of time to human, animal or plant life is called hazardous waste. So the waste which is dangerous to life, that is known as hazardous waste. One which is very poisonous or very toxic, then it is known as hazardous waste. So there are 3 types of waste: municipal waste, industrial waste and hazardous waste. Municipal waste is generated from markets, streets, house, hotels, restaurants. These all waste generated from these places is known as municipal waste. Now second is industrial waste. Industrial waste is generated from industry. Mostly rubbish, ashes, construction waste are known as industrial waste. And hazardous waste are the waste which are very toxic, poisonous and endangering to life. Then it is known as hazardous waste. What are the causes of solid waste pollution? So one of the reasons of solid waste which is increasing day by day is overpopulation. As the number of people during pollutant increases, pollution will naturally increase. Same is true for solid waste pollution too. Solid waste pollution increase with increase in population. So as the population is increasing day by day, the generation of pollution or solid waste is also increasing day by day. Now, second reason why solid waste is increasing day by day is technology. Rapidly growing technology from most economic goods indicate a shift in technology from the returnable packaging to non-returnable packaging. So, the packaging which is done to deliver the good is considered as solid waste, and large amount of solid waste is generated through that. Nowadays, we order different products online and the packaging done to cover that product, that is solid waste, and we are generating more and more solid waste by demanding more and more technology or goods in our house. Now, what are the other causes of solid waste pollution? So urbanization and affluence. Now, what do you mean by urbanization? Solid waste is preliminary as urban problem through not exclusively urban. Solid waste pollution increases with increase in urbanization. So as the living standard are increasing day by day, we are demanding more technology, we want more comfortable life, the more and more solid waste is generating in the environment. What do you mean by affluence? With increase in the affluence, there is a tendency to declare items as being in or out fashion and promptly thrown away, the ones which are out of fashion. The result is known as solid waste pollution. As day by day the technology is upgrading, we want more and more new products according to the technology. So we are throwing the old product and buying the new product again and again. So that is creating more and more solid waste in the environment because of our demand of more and more goods. Now, what are the effects of solid waste pollution? So transmission of many diseases due to flies breed on refuse or solid waste bump. So as the solid waste increases, as in our surrounding waste increases, there will be more and more breeding of flies and mosquito. Second effect of solid waste is rat flourishing upon the solid waste may also cause the disease. So if there is more waste in some area, there is generation of more rats in that area. So rat can cause many diseases like plague. Improper disposal can cause contamination of crops and water supply. So if you are not disposing solid waste properly, that waste will combine with our agriculture and cause contamination, and ultimately it will affect us. Obnoxious odor arising from decomposition of solid waste can cause air pollution, causing problem in surrounding area. So if there is more and more solid waste generating in our surrounding, that may cause air pollution, because as the waste is dumped in our surrounding, it starts pressurizing itself. So when they get pressurized by the pressure, they will generate certain kind of gases in the atmosphere, and that gases which are generated by the waste in atmosphere are very toxic and dangerous, because the waste includes a lot of different things. There are certain metals present in there. There are different kind of waste included in the dump. So if that waste is pressurized, or it gets pressurized by throwing waste again and again above that, that will generate different gases in the atmosphere, and thereby it will pollute the air also. Solid waste dump also create aesthetically unpleasing surrounding environment. So if we see in our surrounding there are waste dump everywhere, it is not aesthetically pleasing. You won't find it beautiful, you find it ugly. So solid waste is also degrading our aesthetic beauty. This much amount of solid waste is generated day by day. So how can we manage the solid waste? So the management of solid waste is collection, segregation and storage, transportation, treatment, energy recovery and disposal. So first you collect the waste, then separate the waste, then transport it to the proper place, then treatment should be done, then you should recover the energy from the waste, and then whatever residue is left, that you have to dispose. So the management of solid waste should be done in this manner. So how can we manage solid waste? First, the collection process should be done properly. So there are three types of collection process which we have discussed in the chapter. The first is curbside collection, second is block collection, and third is community storage point. So first, what do you mean by curbside collection? So the house owner is responsible for placing the solid waste container at the curb on the scheduled day. The workmen come, collect an empty container and put back at the curb. The house owner is required to take back the empty container from the curb to his house. So what happens here? The house owner who is generating the waste, he is responsible to dispose the waste at the curb, and then the workmen will come and take that waste, and you have to take your vessel back to your own house. It's your responsibility. Now, what is block collection method? Individual brings the waste in containers and hand it over to the collection staff, who empties it into the waiting vehicle and return the container to the individual. So here what is happening? A vehicle will come to your house, they will collect the waste, give us the container back, and then they will go. What is our responsibility? What we need to do is we have to give our waste to the person who is waiting in the vehicle to dispose the waste, and then take our container back. Community storage point. The solid waste is taken to a fixed storage bins and stored till the waste storage agency collect it as per the schedule of the collection. So what happens in community storage point? The person who is responsible for generating waste will dump the waste at a point, and the storage agency will take the waste from that point on their scheduled day. So that is known as community storage point. How we can process the solid waste? So the processing of solid waste, first we have collected the waste. Now we have to process the waste. Improve the efficiency of solid waste disposal systems to recover resources and to prepare materials for their recovery of conversion products and energy. So processing techniques is proper segregation of waste, where we have to separate the waste, recover the resources, certain waste can be reusable, so take that back, and then convert the waste into energy, that is processing technique. Now, how we can dispose the waste, whatever residue is left, how we should dispose it. So, disposal on or in the earth's mantle is at present the only viable method for long-term handling. So, what is happening here? Disposal should be done on the earth, on the land. So, that is only the most viable technique to dispose it right now. So, solid waste that are collected which are of no further use, the residual matter remaining after solid waste have been processed, or the residual matter remaining after the recovery of conversion products and energy has been accomplished. So, these three waste, one is the collected waste which is of no further use. Second, the residue which is left after reusing the waste. And the third, the residual matter after taking energy from that waste. So, these three types of waste is disposed in a certain manner. So, what kind of mannerism we can dispose that waste? So, first is landfilling. Landfilling is a method of disposal used most commonly for municipal waste. Land farming and deep well injection have been used for industrial waste. Although incineration is often considered a disposable method, it is in reality a processing method. So, landfilling is a method where you dump the waste on an open area. So, that is landfilling method of disposal of waste. Now, disposal of waste first is open dumping, sanitary landfilling, incineration, composting and pyrolysis. So, these are the 5 methods through which we can dump the waste as we discussed earlier. The waste which cannot be used again, the waste from which we have recovered the energy. So the residues are disposed in this 5 method. So, the first method is known as open dumping method. In this, the solid waste is dumped in the open area. It's very cheap, but there are a lot of disadvantage of that. Many gases are generated when the waste is collected at one place, so that will pollute the area. So that is one of the disadvantage. It looks aesthetically displeasing. That is also one of the disadvantage of open dumping, where you dump the waste in an open area. So that is known as open dumping method. Now, what is sanitary method? So sanitary method is a method where you excavate the land and fill the waste inside the land. So that is known as sanitary dumping method. In this method of solid waste is disposed or dumped either naturally available low-lying area or digging trenches or in open area under an engineered operation. designed and operated according to the acceptable standards, not causing any nuisance or hazard to the public health or safety, because this waste is dumped inside the land. So that's why it is known as sanitary dumping method. So it does not look aesthetically displeasing because you cannot see the waste. So we are dumping the waste inside the land. Now, the next method is known as incineration method. So the third method to dispose the waste is by burning the waste. So incineration method is where you burn the waste. So here in the figure you can see the whole mechanism how the waste is burned. So first is refuse bunker, then there is the reception hall. So reception hall means where all the waste is collected. Then through refuse bunker this waste is collected there. So refuse bunker is a place where the waste is collected. Now that waste is charged electronically and then it is collected in a boiler where the waste is burned. So the waste is burned now. After that, whenever you burn the waste, there is lot of amount of air pollution created through that and lot of amount of poisonous gases are present in that gas. So to filter that, there is a bag of filter where this gas is passed. So all the gases which are very toxic to the environment, to the atmosphere, which can create major amount of air pollution, are filtered in that bag of filter, and then and only then the gas is released. So what happens is, first the waste is collected in the refuse bunker, then it is charged electronically, then it is burned. After that the gases released by burning of waste are filtered and then released in the atmosphere. And when the waste is burned, ashes are also created through that waste because of incomplete combustion of organic matter. So that ashes is also collected and converted into bricks. So that is how incineration process works. Disadvantage of incineration method is majorly air pollution, because there are some toxic gases which are present after burning of the waste. So air pollution is the biggest problem. Advantage of incineration method is that it reduces waste in our surrounding. Now, composting method. Composting method is again as same as sanitary method, but here only organic waste is dumped inside the land. So, composting as defined earlier is a process in which organic matter of solid waste is decomposed and converted to humus and stable mineral compound. The end product of composting process is called composting, which is rich fertilizer. There are three methods of composting: composting by trenching, open window composting, and mechanical composting. So composting method is basically where organic matter is decomposed and converted into fertilizer so it can be used in agriculture field. So pyrolysis is a method where the waste is heated, as same as incineration method. But in this process, the heating of waste is done in absence of air. So that is why it is known as pyrolysis method, and in controlled temperature from 500 degrees Celsius to 1000 degrees Celsius. During the heating process, these three things are produced: gas, liquid, and char. Gas, it is a mixture of combustible gases such as hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, carbon monoxide, and some hydrocarbons are produced during this process. Liquid, it contains tar, pitch, light oil, and low boiling organic chemicals like acetic acid, acetone, and methanol, etc. These are also produced during this method. Char, it consists of element carbon along with inert material in the waste food. The char liquid and gases have high calorific value. It has been observed that even after supplying the heat necessary for pyrolysis, the certain amount of excess heat still remains which can be commercially exploited. So pyrolysis is a method where the waste is heated, but the waste is heated in absence of air. So let us revise what we did today. So first what we did was different types of solid waste. So there was garbage, rubbish, putrefaction, ashes, and leachate. So there were 5 types of waste. Then what we did was, we did the sources and types of solid waste. There was municipal type of waste, there were industrial waste, and there was hazardous waste. Now, how can we dispose the waste? So what are the methods of disposing waste? So methods of disposing waste was open dumping method, sanitary landfilling method, third one was incineration, fourth one was pyrolysis, and the fifth one was composting method. So we did all these, how the waste is generated and what are the causes. So causes were overpopulation, urbanization, affluence, technology. These were the causes of solid waste generation. Then we did how we can collect the waste and how we can process the waste. So in solid waste management, we did all of these. So that is what we learned in solid waste management. Thank you for watching this video and hope to see you in the next lecture.